The United Nations has welcomed a decision by the Ethiopian government to release a number of detained politicians. The government announced earlier this month that it would discontinue cases against some political detainees. Over 100 people have been released in the last week, including Merera Gudina, a former lawmaker. The UN says it stands ready to help Ethiopia, but says the country needs to do more to rework anti-terror laws and other legislation that targets the media and activists. Now, this week, alarms been raised over the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where more than 250,000 children are said to be facing starvation. They're part of more than 3 million people struggling to feed themselves, according to the United Nations World Food Programme. The head of the programme, David Beasley, who visited central Kassai, said he was shocked by what he saw and that famine-like conditions were now in place there. Much of the affected region is around central Kassai, an area that's seen fighting between government soldiers and local militia. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now live from our London studios by the human rights activist Francine Mukwaya, who's also the founder of the Congolese charity and community organization Kitunga ya Mboka. Francine, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. I hope you can hear me there. Right, now you are of course...
I can hear you.
Yes,
you
hello
so
there.
much
You are well familiar with the situation in central Kassai province. You keep in touch with your contacts there. Just describe for us the humanitarian conditions in central Kassai as you understand it. Is the UN correct when it says hundreds of children and possibly millions of people are at risk of starvation and not being able to feed themselves?
Yeah, definitely, But to actually talk about it, it's better to know the cause of it. The cause of, the main issue is this. UN is correct because a lot of people in Kassai, they depend on agriculture. So the problem started from the Kamwina Nsapu, which is a title for traditional leader in Kassai Central. So what happened, the head to the throne who's supposed to take over, he was a doctor based in South Africa, but he decided to go back to take over after his father. But because he was the person who knew his right, and he saw the living condition of the people, so he wasn't happy. He used to criticize the government. So what happened after the former Kamwina Nsapu, the traditional leader, passed away? He's supposed to take over as the next online, but the government, the local government, and the national government didn't support it because they knew that he's against he's been criticized the government. So what happened? They actually refused to recognize him. Then after that, he was killed. Because of his assassination, his followers were not happy. Basically, even the people from Central Kassai, because most of them used to support him. So they were not happy. That's why they started fighting with the government forces. But it's so important for all of us to know that Kassai province is the richest province in terms of mineral. They have Kassai province has so many diamonds. Where I was born in Kikwit city, another province near Kassai province, I know how it is. People now depend on agriculture because the mining company during Mobutu era, people used to there was a mine company called Miba, and it was a really big mining company that employed thousands of Congolese, precisely people from that region. But now, since the arrival of this government, the company doesn't function anymore. So people depend on farming.
Okay.
So with this insecurity that just broke out since 2016, people can't even go farm. People can't access the land. This is why malnutrition is gonna break up. Definitely the UN is right, because people depend on forests, people depend on agriculture. But if they can't access the land, if they can't farm what's happened to them? They have to basically die for hunger. And then with what we have as a government as well, it's difficult. So, yeah, it's really sad story that's going on in Kassai, because Kassai used to be a very peaceful province, Greater Kassai. Yeah.
Right, okay. Just for the sake of this discussion, Francine, I'd appreciate it if you kept your answers fairly brief, because it's quite difficult. I don't think you can hear me when I have made several attempts to interrupt you there, and I haven't been successful. But essentially what you're saying is that this is a combination of a tribal conflict, and it's also being fueled by the politics of what is happening at the national level with President Kabila and all that sort of thing. We're almost out of time, so I understand that there'll be a protest march tomorrow in the DRC to try to force President Kabila to step down. Do you expect that march to clash with police? Because they've had clashes in the past, haven't they?
Yeah, that march is really important because Congo, as being a Catholic country, because majority of people are Catholic, so Catholic Church are leading the marches. So the march is really important for everybody because they're asking Kabila to step down. His term ended in 2016, and then he doesn't want to, he refused to organize election. They gave him 1 year, but he refused to organize election. For him to refuse to organize election, then people don't trust him anymore. And we know that he doesn't really follow the rule, he doesn't respect the constitution. And for peace to come, whether in Kassai, whether in Beni, whether in any part of the country, we need a democracy process. But with the present government, it's very difficult for the process to take place. So for him, he has to step down. But we also know that it's difficult for him. He's not going to do that because he wants to stay longer in power. He's only 45. He came in power, he was imposed in Congo, he was 29. So it's really something, the march tomorrow is really important for Congolese people, because now not just the Catholic Church, is also the Protestant Church also is part of it, even the Muslim church as well, I mean, the Muslim as well, they are also part of it. So to come back to what we were talking before, like I want to really to state it about that crisis in Kassai. People in Kassai have been working with them. Those who left Kassai province, I've been working with them. They are in Kikwit. They're also really willing for the president, for Kabila to step down, because no one trusts him.
Okay, I'm going to have to jump in here. Francine, thank you very much indeed. Francine Mukwaya, the human rights activist, and we do appreciate your taking the time to come and explain the things that are happening in the DRC and in central Kassai to us. Unfortunately, a bit of technical problem there. You couldn't hear me most of the time as I made a valiant effort to interrupt you, but thank you very much indeed.